That was some of the most hilarious footage ever done on television. And they thought, who can we get to follow that kind of hilarity? How about Jack Riley? And here I am. It's called Guts. Bill Dana couldn't be here tonight. He was supposed to be the MC. He's in Cambodia attending Pol Pot's funeral. He's going to do an album. He's going to do an album while he's over there. Jose Jimenez in the Killing Fields. That'll be a lot of fun. So I got the job. They wanted to get an MC who had a little more stature in the business than I did, but Larry Hovis was busy tonight, so I'm here. That's right, Larry Hovis.
Hogan's Heroes.
Hogan's Heroes, yeah. And we'll have some clips later. Anyhow, who better than I to toast my dear pal, Don Adams? By the way, nice meeting you. We've been friends now for 22 months. He once said to me, so what is it you do? Supposed to feel good. And here we are in the great Playboy Mansion. If these walls could moan. Hef's been a big part of my life. I went from reading National Geographic to Playboy and now the ARP Bulletin, all with Hef. I salute you, Hef, for your generosity tonight. Hef showed this house on Brian Gumbel's show last week, and it was seen in several hundred homes, so you should know. What always amazes me about Hugh Hefner, he's an international celebrity, a powerful publisher. He changed the way we think and live. His mansion has been a playground for the greats of the arts, business, and politics. And on the other hand, I live in 2 rooms where Lancashire crosses Nordhoff. And here's the weird part. We both have the same friends. It's really nuts. How can that be? I don't get it. But tonight it's Don's night. A salute to Don Adams as he enters the Metamucil years. Don goes way back in Hollywood. He once dated Theda Bara, but her brother Yogi hated Don. So we're talking a long time ago. His first agent also handled gunfighters. So, yeah. Now, I thought it was a good idea the way we fast-forwarded some of the clips. We can do that with some of the speakers tonight, too. Ronnie, would you mind? Okay. Our first speaker is a guy, he's the only guy here who's going to use this on his resume. He's listed in Who's Who under Who's He. Here he is, Mr. Ronnie Shell.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here. And first of all, Stacy, I want to thank you for holding this tonight instead of Tuesday, May 5th.
Why? What's Tuesday, May 5th?
Oh, that's when I open at the Basin Street West in Palm Springs. There was one of the top singers of our time, Miss Gogi Grant, and $7,500 per week. I'm just going there just to prepare for my June 21st gig at the Harrah's in Vegas, where I'll be headlighting the comedy room, and then I'll be making $10,000 a week. Quite a gig, and I'll probably be doing some shorts in between.
Hey, Ronnie, this is about Don.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yes, I got to tell you, I haven't felt this much love in one room since I was a guest on the Skippy Low telethon for the Sexually Uncertain. Did you get all that? It's a great turnout here tonight. Can you imagine how many people would be here tonight if Don were liked? Now, we're all here in the presence of a guy who has made people laugh for many, many years in show business, has the respect of all of us, is a true comedy genius. Thanks for showing up tonight, Mr. Rickles. Don, by his own admission, has really not been entertaining for the last few years, decades. To use a popular sports jargon, Don has been out of network TV for years because of a dislocated career. That's something. How about that? Isn't that marvelous? It's my hope. in segues. But Don has prepared himself for his eventual comeback. As you can plainly see, he's had a couple of radical facelifts during the past year. Don, the eye job looks great. And who would have ever thought that you would now be offered all those Key Luke roles? But Don is a very funny man, and he's fast on his feet, right up with his ad-libbing abilities, right up there with the likes of Wilford Brimley. But Don has done a lot of volunteer... Wilford Brimley.
Try Larry Hovis.
Better than Larry Hovis. Jesus. Nah. I think I will. That's something. How about that? Isn't that marvelous? Don has been offered to do his stand-up routine 3 times for the annual comedy relief show for the hungry, but has been rejected all 3 times.
Oh, really? Why is that?
They said they weren't that hungry. Jesus Christ, it's a tough room. Well, it's a nightclub comedian, and I've worked with him for many, many years up at Harrah's and everything. Don really has had no equals. Superiors, many. Herky Styles, Dink Freeman, Joey Villa. But Don is such a spirited, vital human being, a man who loves life. But unfortunately, as you can plainly see, life does not love him back. Thank you. In conclusion, I must say that all in all, fame and fortune has made Don Adams what he is today. A lonely, bitter, angry shithead from New York.
Thank you, Ronnie.
That's May 5th,
Yeah.
Basin Street West.
Yeah, and you're opening for Gogi Grant, I heard. That's true. No joke. Yeah. We have an old friend of Don's tonight who spends a lot of time entertaining on cruise ships, Alan Kent. He has more iceberg jokes than anybody in this room. As a matter of fact, you were the comic on the Titanic the night that it...
I was in the dress. That's how I got out.
That's how you got out from the dress. Well, save it for up here, will you, Alan? Because, okay. He was while the musicians were playing on the Titanic, you were saying, take the asters, please. I remember that. So anyway, yeah. Anyway, so get up here fast, because I'm dying. Here he is, Mr. Alan Kent.
I am not here to praise Don Adams. I'm here to tell the truth about gin rummy. Now, the very first time that I met Don was, I think, Civil War had just ended. And he had been in the troops. He was in Guadalcanal when he was 11. That's what he told us at the gin game. Every Wednesday night, well, first of all, we were both going to New York, and I was flying, and I don't know if you know it, but Don does not fly. He hates it. And he said, why don't you take the train with me? And I said, no, why should I? 2 days, I can be there in 2.5 hours. He said, we'll work on material. I knew he was brilliant. We played gin for 2 days. Lost my ass. Now, we play gin rummy here, right in this room, every Wednesday night. Hef plays, his brother Keith, Skip Krask from Chicago, the Old Cloisters Club, Shelley, Caston, Don, and myself. Now, this is the way the Wednesday night goes. We arrive here a little after 6, after the last race. We have dinner. We sit around. Don tells us what new movies he's seen during the week. Usually 3 or 4. And we all say, how did you like them? The worst piece of shit I ever saw. And Keith says, I liked it. And Skippy says, I liked it. Shelley says, I liked it. And Don says, you ain't got no goddamn taste. Miscast everybody. Everybody's miscast. Tells us what lousy movies he's seen all week. Brings his little dog, Sweetie. Now, you have to understand, he admits that Sweetie has a Jekyll and Hyde complex. That when Sweetie is home with him, she's a lovely dog. When she gets here, she's ravenous and eats everything and everybody within sight. Fruit, vegetables, anything. She got that from her father. Because Don is a Jekyll and Hyde. At the track, lovely man. A few swear words once in a while, but not much. When he gets up here and gets in the gin game, I don't care if he lost $20,000 at the track that day. The penny a point we play for up here is more important than that $20,000. Now, you have to understand how he feels. Don Adams is the only person in the entire world who truly knows how to play gin rummy. The rest of us are cripples. Just ask him, he'll tell you. Now, we pick cards for sides, 3 on a side. Don is never, ever wrong. He'll tell you that, too. We, on the other hand, whenever he loses for the night, it's because his 2 partners put him in the shit house. Shade house, shaved head. I told him last night he looks like a hitman with this shaved head. He does. The other night, Mr. Hefner threw the party. He was the only loser. Don felt so bad, he took the money anyway. He figures right now he's about, what was it, 77,000 you're ahead on the horses so far this year? And $1.42 behind in gin rummy. And that $1.42 pisses him off no end. So what I'd just like to say is that any Wednesday night, if you're not doing anything, around 6 or 6:15, and you want to see really humor, come up here and watch our gin game. Don, happy 75th.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you for keeping within the 27-minute time limit. Our next guest, Gary Owens, has the deepest voice in Hollywood, if you don't count B. Arthur and Brenda Vaccaro. He was inducted into the Radio Hall of Fame with Red Skelton and George Burns in 1996. And all the years as a DJ here in Los Angeles, Gary was never connected to the payola scandal. It's his involvement in the Hillside Strangler case that has the LAPD baffled. Here he is, Mr. Gary Owens, right here.
So, well, that's all right. Jack, thank you very much. Jack has been on The Tonight Show 18 times this year. Really? Jack Riley, ladies and gentlemen. Doing very well. I really can't tell you how pleased I am to be here, and happy birthday to Don.
3 were funny.
Well, yes, I haven't been this happy since Marv Albert asked for my niece's phone number not too long ago. Indeed, happy birthday to Don Adams, because he's such a great legend, and as you know, Don and Dick Van Patten are at the racetrack, and this year got to throw out the first horse of the season. We're very happy for him. It's a very big honor in sports. There are so many friends here tonight in these beautiful Hefner-esque surroundings. Our acclaimed former medical examiner, Dr. Thomas Noguchi, is in the back over here. He helped Don prepare for a role on Quincy, a dramatic role. Don was playing a cadaver in that particular episode. Dr. Noguchi doesn't get invited to many affairs, but it's his own fault, because the last big dinner he went to, he tried to pull a tablecloth over Fred McMurray. You may recall that a few years ago. When I first came to Hollywood, Don Adams, Don Rickles, and I all had the same publicist, Gene Sheffrin, a wonderful man. So I called the old Sheffrin office back, in the early 60s to get a complete bio, and I've kept it all these years. Now, these are some of the things you don't hear very often, and just as well. Don Adams was so poor that his mom sold Mary Kay. Not the cosmetics, his little sister. And he was so poor that when he lost a baby tooth, his mother made soup out of it, which I thought was very nice. All of us who know Don, and those of us in Yarmy's Army and get a chance to chat with him all the time, we realize he is such a very warm and charming man. When he greets somebody, he kisses them on both cheeks, and sometimes on the face, by the way. A movie, ladies and gentlemen, is being made right now of Don's life and how he survived a plane crash over the Andes, right next to the Amoses over there, as a matter of fact, by eating 3 other passengers before the plane hit the ground, which was wonderful. And a few moments ago, you saw these wonderful clips, these great clips, with the 2 Dons, Don Adams and Don Rickles. Don Adams is one of the great literary fanciers of our time, and Don has purchased the rights just today to a book about Al Jolson. You saw Rickles doing Al Jolson there. And this is about Al Jolson in his early days as the jazz singer, which claims, surprisingly, that Al was really a black guy with a very white mouth. No one had ever discovered that before. Don amazed the philosophical community here in Los Angeles with his essay that ocean waves are caused by whale farts. It had never been talked about before. And just 2 years ago, Don Adams started an unusual religious cult where people used to confess their sins and then come back an hour later and deny everything. Now plans are underway, ladies and gentlemen, for Don to do a one-man show based on the life of Johann Sebastian Bach, and we're looking forward to it. Don found out that the reason Bach had 16 children was because there were no stops on his organ. That's the main thing. So, Don, our congratulations, a happy Chandler, a happy Rockefeller, and a happy birthday to our dear friend, Don Adams. Thank you, Don.
You want to hear that material again? I am opening at Basin Street West.
A lot of people couldn't be here tonight. One of them, Bill Dana.
You did that.
He wrote a letter. He wrote a letter. A dear friend of Bill Dana, who will be hosting tonight's event, which Bill Dana cannot attend because, although Bill Dana wanted to be there, Bill Dana just couldn't make it because we know how busy the world of Bill Dana is. Anyway, I'm sure that if Bill Dana were there, he'd be just embarrassed hearing all the great stuff Don has to say about Bill Dana and all that Bill Dana has meant to him over the years. I wouldn't even be surprised if Hef didn't also throw a big tribute to Bill Dana. But as Bill Dana used to say, in a Bill Dana created expression, that'll be the Dana. Signed, Bill Dana. From Bill Dana. He also added another telegram, Dear Don Adams, where's the money? Signed, William Powell. One of the friends of Don's, who's in this group called Yarmy's Army, is Howie Storm. He's a director and an artist and an actor. Howie Storm this year is known as Howie El Nino, and we're going to bring him up here now to create something for it. He created this just for you, Don. It's your first time with a date at an Italian restaurant. And here it is, Howie El Nino.
I have to stand on the chair for this.
That's not the only thing.
Turn this thing around. Okay. There we go. As Don and his date walked into the restaurant, the maitre d' greeted them. Hey, what is it, just the two of yous? How you doing, Mr. Adams? Is this your daughter? Oh, excuse me, the teething ring threw me a little bit. Wait, I'll get you the waiter. Come on, come over here, take care of Mr. Adams. Just sit down there. I'll start you off with some clams oregano. Huh? Then I get you some Chianti to wash it down, you know? And then I make you a nice salad. I mix it myself. Happy birthday to you, Mr. Adams.
Thank you very much.
You know why there are no Jewish gangs? Because you can't wear a yarmulke backwards.
Remember, May 5th, remember.
I won't be doing that line there.
Yeah. That's also Cinco de Mayo, by the way.
Hey,
Yeah. Harvey Korman is a great actor and comedian. That's all I wanted to say. Harvey's still pissed off that Robert Downey Jr. got more work while he was in jail than Harvey gets as a free man. Totally free man. Yeah, well, while you're walking up here, I'll say a few more things. Harvey's an author. He wrote one of the thinnest books in the world, along with A Guide to the South Pacific by Amelia Earhart, My Search for the Real Killers by O.J. Simpson, and now Harvey's new book, The Transition from TV to the Big Screen. Here he is, Mr. Harvey Korman.
My heart is full. My heart is full. Your heart full?
Before I get started, Dave, you want to run that 30-minute reel of Conway and I breaking up on the... There are many glittering stars in the Hollywood firmament. It's a pity that one or two of them couldn't have joined us here this evening. Looks like a Love Boat reunion here. But I'm proud to belong to Yarmy's Army. Okay, I admit we're not that active anymore. But I had no idea the last time I worked when the director said to me, take 5, he meant years. But it's good to be here to celebrate one of our members' birthdays. 75 years ago, Don was born, got married, and became an instant bomb in show business. But you have to admit he started out in a very difficult role as a nightclub comic. That's very tough when you don't smoke or drink or make people laugh. So after his marriage, Don went to New York to try television. After many months of struggling, he married and began to get regular work on the Ed Sullivan Show. He was very successful in New York, and after a quick elopement, he came to Hollywood and became an important part of TV's golden age, when Ozzie loved Harriet, George loved Gracie, and Danny Kaye loved himself. He became, Leonard Stern. Anyway, Don, congratulations. He's the guy that started it. So anyway, he came to Hollywood. He became a big star. He got married, and he lived happily ever after.
James Caan is here tonight, and he's a friend of Don's. I'm a big fan of James Caan's, too. I asked him if he studied acting, and he said, yeah, I studied with Lee. And I said, Strasberg? He said, no, Majors. So, would you like to get up and say happy birthday, Jim? Thanks. James Caan.
Happy birthday. Thank you. How am I doing so far? Command a room. I'll tell you a quick story. To tell you how old he is, I was known as the Kid. And we used to play golf. There's Wolfberg and Adams, who was a big star at the time. This is just one of the many stories. And he yelled because he was a star and nobody else was anything. And he made up his own rules. So we were playing at Riviera, and every time Don swung a club, we checked with the vet ward to see if a bed was empty. It was just ridiculous. So I had played about 4 times, and then he demanded 4 strokes aside from me. Show you how great he was. Anyway, we were playing what he called winter rules. That meant if it went in the barranca, you could move it. If it went out of bounds, you could move it. And we spent about an hour on the tee every time we played, screaming and yelling and betting and whatnot. Nobody ever paid anything, but you know that took an hour. Anyway, we got to the last hole at Riviera, and I had shut Don out, and I gave him a shot and a half, a half shot and a half. Anyway, we were playing winter rules. I hit my second ball up onto the green. Don hit it left, his second shot left to the sand trap. I went up around, came down, and as I came down, I caught Don moving his ball from the rough to the fringe of the green. Now, this was in front of all the members of Riviera. And I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "We're playing winter rules." I said, "Don, you can't move the ball from the rough to the fringe of the green." "What do you know? We're playing winter rules," and he started screaming at me. At which point, I had a little temper. I ran down, picked him up over my head, threw him onto the green, opened his mouth, and stuck a golf ball in it. I started laughing very hard, rolled off him. He got up, took the golf ball out of his mouth, and said, "Remind me never to go bowling with you." One of my fond memories of Don Adams.
See, Ronnie, what a star looks like?
Yeah.
Class. Dick Van Patten is from a large show business family. Dick is kind of the Tito of the Van Pattens. Joyce is LaToya. And what a coup to get Dick out tonight. I mean, he's rarely out of the house. Actually, Dick is very accessible for all events. This afternoon, he attended a ceremony where they put up the new pennants at Mark C. Bloom, which was show you. He'll come out for anything. Anyway, here he is, one of Don's dearest friends, Mr. Dick Van Patten.
Hi. I first met Don in 1970 through his brother and my pal, Dick Yarmy. And Dick said, "I'm going to introduce you to my brother." And I was pretty excited. This was the biggest thing on TV, Get Smart and Don Adams. I was really very excited to meet Don Adams. So he takes me to his house, and Dick says, "Don," he said, "this is a terrific guy. He's just great. You're going to really love him." And I thought he was going to say, "You're going to love him because he's a terrific actor." And everything. He said, "You're going to love him. He's a degenerate horse player, just like you." And it was a little embarrassing. So then Don said, no. He said, "You married a June Taylor dancer, didn't you?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, my wife was a June Taylor dancer, and she replaced your wife." He said, "So we got to be friends." And that's how it all happened. And he said, "I want you to come over to my house this Sunday." He said, "Every Sunday we play tennis, and then after the tennis we have a nice big dinner, and after the dinner we have a movie." He said, "I have a first-run movie flown into my house." And he said, "And after the movie we play charades until about 5 in the morning." And this, incidentally, we did this for 2 years. This is true. And that was the day. I mean, every Sunday. But I just want to tell you about one thing. In the tennis, when I first went there the first day, I went there, I thought that we're just going to have nice, pleasant tennis. But Don's brother, Dick, one of the greatest guys I ever knew, one of the most talented, he was a very competitive man, unbelievably competitive. And he wouldn't let you just play tennis for the fun and everything. He wanted to make a tournament out of it. And he would say everybody would have to pick a different partner, and we would play all day, and whatever team would win, because that's the way Dick wanted it. But anyway, I had a little 12-year-old boy who was #1 in the tennis in the country, #1 in the world in the country. And he was only 12 years old. So naturally, Dick wanted him to be the partner. But that wasn't fair because Don said, no, the partner has to be the worst player. And I'm the worst player. And Dick said, "No, I'm the worst player." And so anyway, they would fight over who was going to play with little Vincent. This is all true, incidentally. And finally, I said, "Wait a minute, fellas, please, break it up. Don't you understand? Let Vincent pick who he wants to play with. Go ahead." So Vincent said, "I want to play with Don." So Dick was furious. So whoever Vincent played with always won. So Don was winning week after week. And I finally went to Vincent one night. I said, "Vincent, it isn't nice. 1 week you should at least pick Dick." He said, "No, Dad." I said, "What do you mean, no? Why not?" He says, "Don gives me $50 every Sunday." I'm not making that up. But anyway, this went on for 2 years. It was the greatest Sunday that anybody ever had. People that went to resorts, nobody had as much fun as we had on those Sundays. My wife just got off a plane, 14 hours flying. I said, we got to go to Dawn's birthday party. She said, but I just got off the plane, so maybe you better go home. She said, no, I'll never forget those Sundays at Dawn, how wonderful Dorothy and Dawn were to us. And that's why she came here tonight. But I just want to say one thing. About 2 years later, we found out that Dawn and Dorothy were separating. So we felt very bad. And I saw Jack Carter. This is true, too. I saw Jack Carter on the street. I said, Jack, did you hear what happened? Now, he was not trying to be funny. I said, Jack, terrible thing happened. I said, Dawn and Dorothy are separating. Now, Jack was not trying to be funny. He was dead serious. He said, there goes Sunday. Anyway, thank you. Thank you very much. It's a privilege to be with Don Adams on his 75th birthday. Don, you've been a great, great friend. You've hired me. You've used me. Not only that, we have a lot in common, and every time I see you, it's like seeing a light bulb because I get very excited. He's terrific. Just a pleasure to be here. Thanks. Happy birthday.
Thanks very much, Dick. That speed talking course you took really worked. Dick is going to record. Dick is going to record the entire Bible on a 30-second cassette. It's going to be available. You know, everybody was afraid tonight because Rickles was going to be here that he'd be a big heckler. I want to thank you, Don, for not doing that. But I did hire a professional comedy writer, Arnie Kogan, who helped me with a lot of these other lines, too, for some Rickles stoppers. So I think I should read them to you. Don, the LA Zoo called. Don't jump around too much. They'll lose the tracking device. Will somebody give Don Rickles a milk container so he can check for his career on the side of the carton? Hey, I didn't write these. Let's see. Don Rickles is with us tonight. Don Rickles is to comedy what Linda Tripp is to sensuality. So let's bring him up here without any further ado. Here he is, Mr. Don Rickles. Let's hear it for Don Rickles, ladies and gentlemen. There he is.
Sit down, Jack. It's over. I know how to handle it. And May 5th, you can be sure I won't be there. Honored guests, worthy rabbi, and I'm here tonight to kiss Hugh Hefner's ass. That's what I'm here. Because there was a time when I was invited to this mansion, and I was a big guy in your life. And then suddenly I got married and was devoted to my wife, and you canceled me. As soon as I lost that horny image, you got rid of it. Tonight is a night I could have missed very easily. The man sitting before me, I don't know, with the new haircut. Good to see you, General von Steinman. Some bitch became a Nazi. His father, rest his soul, was a Jew, which he keeps quiet. His mother was Irish. And we hung out together. We had great times in Washington, D.C. when you said to me, why do you always look for women? As you were bopping everything in sight. And I see by this turnout, Dawn, that, as it turns out, I'm the biggest name here. I never figured that, except for Jimmy Kahn, who we go back a long time. He gave my kid his first toys, really. When my son was born, Jimmy Kahn did a wonderful mitzvah. He gave my children toys, and we've been in touch ever since. Oh, Jesus. His whole life is calling up Francis Ford Coppola saying, how about Sonny again? Why not? I'll be Sonny. I'll come back. Take the bullets out of my ass, and I'll start all over again. Jimmy, I'm a friend. It's over. He's up in the mountains now in his pajamas trying to figure out who the hell he is. But Jimmy is a great actor. I mean that sincerely. And Dorothy, it's good to see you again. I remember the days when you and Don were married, and you kept saying to me, I love him so much. And we all stared at you. Biggest unemotional stiff in the world, this man. He was like a Gentile midget running around, searching, hunting. But you know, we laugh and we kid, and I must say, Gary, you were brilliant, and Jack, you're a fine writer, and Ronnie, and Howie, that was cute. The chair bit, great. Just some great bits up here, and Harvey, as always, a depressed, wandering Jew. Harvey, I'm not going to lie to you. Carol Burnett doesn't even know you're alive. You dumb son of a bitch. We did great things together, Don. I must say, my wife and I go back a lot of years. We haven't seen each other for 2 or 3 years now. I saw you once when you had the goatee and you were trying to be Robert De Niro or something with dumb disguises. But you've always been a guy that hasn't been, you know, he's not the kind of man that says, hey, let's have lunch and let's hang out. He doesn't do that. He likes to put a saddle on your ass and ride you around the room for a half hour. I've never been his dad, rest his soul, was a wonderful man. I used to kid him. My father, rest his soul, was also a race degenerate, and as Don, always at the track, and never interested me. And he always used to say to me, why don't you come out? And the one time we went in Brentwood, when I lived in Brentwood, he said, come on out to the track, and I want to show you how to bet on horses. Leave it to me, and just shut up with your loud Jewish mouth. I'll handle everything. And in those days, I was like a Jew robot. I used to go, yeah. Good, Don, yeah, whatever you say. The horses are approaching the gate. The flag is up. And he said, bet on Mary's girl, Shirley's daughter, and Lucy's ass. And we will win a lot of money. And I gave him everything. I used to take it out like a Jew. Jew takes out the wallet and goes, hey, here, whatever you want, Don, whatever you want. Jeez, I'm loaded tonight. Anyway, these are little anecdotes that I tell as the camera rolls for no money. I spotted that right off the bat, and your ass, you're going to pay me for this. But I say on behalf of my mother, Etta, rest her soul, who loved you, my wife, Barbara, who loved you and still does, thank God, and I do. We don't see each other, but when I walked in tonight and I put my arms around you, I said, my God, the years and the laughs we had together. You can't take that away from us, big guy. And I tell you this from my heart. You're the most, in my life, a comedic mind that always made me laugh. Laugh to the point where I said, gee, stop it, I can't stand it. You are that good. And at 75, you got a world ahead of you. And you and I have memories together. And let's pray to God we can have many, many more. I love you, and I tell you from my heart, you're the best, and hang in there. God bless you.
Thanks, Don. That was great. Don, as is always the custom, the birthday boy always gets up and says a few words, and this is it. Here he is, Mr. Don Adams.
We'll let you win next Wednesday.
75 years is a long fucking time. Do you realize that when I was born, it was a mere 50 years since Lee surrendered to Grant? I was 4 years old when Lindbergh flew across the ocean. I was 6 years old when the Great Depression started. If you think that was a Great Depression, wait until you get to be 75. I'm not depressed. I'm a little upset because Dr. Gregorian hasn't returned my calls. Actually, I plan to live to at least 100. However, if it doesn't work out that way, I just want to say now that I don't want a big funeral. I don't want a lot of flowers or eulogies or anything like that. I'd just like a few of my close friends to get together and try to bring me back to life. I am so thrilled to have all these wonderful people here tonight, my children, my friends who've been my friends for 40 years. One of the women, or several of the women that I've loved. Why did I say that? I have some stories about some of the friends that are here tonight. They got up and spoke. Incidentally, it was quite interesting to see that we have a mayor who is a stand-up comedy and a horny president. This country is coming to. I'll tell you a few stories about my good friend Don Rickles. We have done a lot of shows together. We did a couple of Dons. We worked a lot together, and we laughed our way through $20 million. Not of our money. When we did a show, the producer said, Rickles and Adams, what's the budget? They said, 100,000, and for overage, 7 million. It's overage laughing. Anyway, I did a show with, many shows with Don. One of them was a thing called A Couple of Dons. I think it was that show. Anyway, Scandori, his manager, called me in and they said, do you want to look at the script? Because we know how you are. You're a pain in the ass. And you want to rewrite everything. And we don't want any of that bullshit on this show. So you look over the script, tell us how. I said, hey, I'm out of this. I said, I'm going with my wife, Dorothy, to Lake Tahoe, and I don't even want to be bothered with it. I'll come back and I'll do it any way that it's written. I will be glad to do it. They said, really? I went to Lake Tahoe. I came back, went in. All the writers were there, Scandori, and they showed me the script. Now, I read through the script. Worst piece of shit I have ever seen in my life. But I said to myself, you made a promise. You said you wouldn't carry on about this. Close your eyes. They said, how do you like it? I said, great. That's a wonderful script. We go to Vegas to rehearse the show. We were shooting it in Vegas. Remember, Don? We rehearse. The worst. Jokes are laying on the floor. Nothing is happening. After a couple of days rehearsal, we go into the lunchroom. And Don says to me, we're going into the toilet.
We're going to bomb. We're going into the toilet. I said, hey, I didn't write the stuff. He said, yeah, but you're a great rewriter, Don. You can rewrite terrific. You got to pull us out of this. Otherwise we're going to die. I said, I promised I wouldn't interfere. He said, you got to do it for us, please, because you're such a great rewriter. Go to rehearsal. Doing a sketch. I said, I don't think this is really quite funny. And everybody went into shock. The writers went, what? And they called for Scandori. And this man, with a hole in his head from a baseball bat, came charging in with his veins sticking out to here and said, you son of a bitch, you said you wouldn't fuck with this material. What's the matter with you? I said, hey, Joe, it's not only me, it's your client. He feels the same way. Everybody looked at Don. Don said, I love it. Don never wanted to be thought of as a bad guy. I had to be the heavy. Jimmy Kahn. I had such wonderful times with Jimmy. He was a part of our family for such a long time, as was Lee Wolfberg. He told you the story about golf. This is a story. It's not a funny story. It's just a story that I think you might get a kick out of. He came to my house one day, and he said, they gave me this script. He said, I want you to read it. Tell me what you think of it. So, okay. So he left. I read the script. He came back. He said, what do you think? I said, Jimmy, it's one of the greatest scripts I've ever read. I said, if you don't do this, you're out of your mind. It's beautiful. He said, it's television. I don't do television. I'm a movie star. The script was Brian's song. He finally did Brian's song. I said, why did you finally decide to do it? You took my advice. He said, no, I found out I could work out with Dick Butkus and have him sit on me. That was the reason he did one of the greatest things that he's ever done. Marvelous thing. Anyway, I have so many people here that I am so lucky to have as friends and my children. There's so many of them. What was I thinking of? I was so horny. My daughter, Christine. This is my oldest. My daughter, Kathy. That's my next oldest. My daughter, Cecily. And my youngest, Beige. Stacy. I want to tell you about Stacy. Stacy called up Hef and said, I want to have a birthday party for my father. It's either at the mansion or Taco Bell's. And Hef said, let me think it over. He said, okay. He said, but does he have to come? Anyway, we're all here, so I guess that he likes me a little bit. I'll get to him. And what I was trying to say was, we're all here, and so I guess Hef likes me a little bit, and I like him a lot. And I thank him for this. I have a son, Sean, who will probably beat the shit out of me because I forgot him. Sean, stand up. couple of the women I love are here tonight. Unfortunately, they're with other men. I love my Dorothy. I always have, always will. She's the mother of two of my wonderful children, and she's one of the great ladies of all time. The other lady is Connie Kresge, and I'd like her to get rid of the little Jew. And I am available. To my former agent, Ted Witzer, who once said to me, "Get out of the business." And I said to him, "You too." My pals from 40 years ago, Shelley Caston, Skippy Crass, Alan Kent, of course, Hef, our gin players. 6 old men with basketballs for prostates. Sitting around trying to win $4. It reminds me of 10 little Indians. 6 little Indians, and then there were none. I mean, how far can you go? Everybody's 70 years old. I figure in about 20 years from now, there'll be a tour through here. And this is where they play gin, over here. They're all gone now. Anyway, I want to thank you all for coming tonight. And I just want to say that I hope we all live to be 103. And if you're young at heart, I guess you will, whatever the numbers are. Thank you so much for coming.